Right, I've tried everything to get this thing to move. It just won't move. It's inanimate. I have no idea what to do. Actually, hang on. Hang on, give me a sec, give me a sec. Wait a minute. Hello, doggy. Bye, doggy. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Come on. That's it. That's it. Breathe. Back up to full strength. Okay, now we can do the video. Well, something a little different today. We're going to be looking at the Transformers Bumblebee DLX scale collectible figure by 3A. Okay, let's have a quick look at the packaging. We can see they've got a nice image of Bumblebee in the background there. Some nice sort of silver writing along here. The 3A logo, the Transformers logo. Transformers written down the side, and there's this type blue speckling all the way through this black box. It's actually really nice. I like it. It's a little bit understated. I do like it when they make a box for adult collectors, make it look like it's for adult collectors rather than a big toy. So it's really nice that they've done that. You can turn around, you can see on the side it's just got 3A, and on the back it's got a Transformers logo, Transformers down the side, and some logos like Hasbro and a seal of approval hologram there, and nothing down the bottom. As you can see, what happens with this is it opens up and you can see the figure inside. It's a nice piece of art just on this side here. It's really cool. And it closes and opens with a magnetic clasp. Okay, let's have a look at the actual figure itself. Okay, and here he is out of the box, and oh my god, this figure is lovely. I absolutely love what 3A have done to this figure. The DLX scale. It feels like it is a little undersized, but in all honesty, it kind of works, and the amount of detail they've managed to get into an 8-inch figure is so impressive considering all the challenges they had. There's a lot of die cast pieces in there, and there's a lot of little moving parts. One of the bonuses of having a robotic figure is that the joints are supposed to be there. It's not like you try to do a human arm where you have to try and hide the joints and try and keep them as discreet as possible. You can bust the joints out on this and it wouldn't be a problem. And that's why I'm really looking forward to Hot Toys Elite. I think that could work really well, simply because they don't have to hide the joints on that figure, and it really works for this DLX figure. I've seen the film. Yeah, I thought it was okay. There was a lot of bits in it that were a little bit like, meh, that didn't need to happen. But one of the things that they got spot on was the design of the Transformers. Bumblebee looks like Bumblebee. He's not like the Michael Bay Bumblebee, where for me all the little bits of yellow and everything, and all the jaggedy edges, they looked a little bit chaotic. And if you actually go back and watch the films, the Decepticons and the Autobots they kind of act the same. Like, the Autobots are always fighting amongst themselves and shouting and punching and kicking, and you're like, are these the Autobots? Are they all just assholes? Because it just seems to be that way. So when they actually did this new Bumblebee film, it was a lot more clear. The Autobots were the Autobots and the Decepticons were the Decepticons. And in actual fact, the Decepticons use deception, which is, you'd think that was obvious, but it's probably one of the first times I think they've done that. Not that I pay attention to the plot of most of the Transformers films, but the design of Bumblebee they nailed perfectly. I think this is like 1/48th scale or 1/24th at least figure with so much detail, and he looks exactly like Bumblebee. Now, one of the main things that I got a problem with when I first got him out of the packaging was his antenna here. It's really loose. Look, it's falling backwards. That's a shame. I've contacted 3A. Hopefully they'll be able to replace that. But it keeps falling back. Yeah, see? Just move back there. If I move it around, see, falls backwards. So I'm going to put them both down so it looks even, because I don't know, I'd probably get a bit OCD myself if you were looking at that and you could see one antenna up and one down. But first off, let's zoom in and have a look at the head sculpt. Okay, look at the detail in that face. It's nuts, isn't it? I mean, for an 8-inch figure, that's insane. I can't believe they managed to do that. And the paint application is so clean. There's no bleed off anywhere. It really isn't. And there's a nice black wash in there. The silver and the yellows work well. If we turn it to the side, you can see that there is a silver piece and a yellow separate piece here. Turn it around to the back. You can see that it's all lovely and mechanical around this side here. Obviously, there's a bit of a problem with this because it's loose. I don't think that's supposed to be loose. I've got a problem with that, yeah. Yeah, so I'm definitely contacting 3A to find out whether or not I can get a replacement head for this, but it's still a nice looking head, and I can't really give them a kicking for that because, you know, errors happen in production. Sometimes they will ship something, it will be slightly busted. It's how they solve those problems is the real measure of a good company. It's how, when somebody emails them and gives them all the relevant details, how quickly they can solve that problem and send them out a new part or whatever to rectify it. That's the seal of a good quality company. But as you can see, he's got this little logo in the front which doubles as a button for the eyes lighting up, and voila, look at that, nice and bright. Even with these bright lights above it, you can still see those eyes light up really well. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can get in really close. Some detail in them eyes, isn't there? But what that is they've kind of cleverly done it, because it's actually one solid light piece inside the head. So when you take the top off, there's a battery compartment with 2 LED lights on the front of it. You literally pull the whole lot out, you put 2 batteries in, you put it back inside, close the head down, and then it shines through the eyes. Really clever, really good. I'm not sure how long that's gonna last, because, you know, these tiny little LEDs, this little tiny circuit board that's in there, could go wrong very quickly, but for the moment, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? Okay, and if we come down, we can see that he has these absolutely really cool headlights here. These don't light up. These are just plain clear plastic, but looks really good and detailed, doesn't it? And he's got this chest piece with the bumper there and the hood just there, and these pieces, they move out, because what's going to happen is when you're moving these arms around, there's all these little extra pieces here, the shoulder pads and whatnot, and things can knock off each other. So what they've done is they've made it so that the shoulder pads and the chest pieces can articulate really well. So you can see they can come out and move up, and then once that's out of the way and this chest piece is out of the way, you can then lift this up as much as you want, and you can see they don't even touch. And then once you've got the pose you want, you can then start closing things down to close those gaps a little bit more. What a fantastic idea. There's a lot more thought that went into this than you initially consider. And then now they're bringing out a premium format version of this, a much bigger version. It kind of makes sense why they sat there and put this much effort into this figure, because what they make here, they can then put into the larger version figure itself. And as you can see, these arms can go up quite high. He's got a double bend in the arms that goes in quite far. He's got a shoulder joint just inside here. You can see I'm touching it, and that moves up and down. That gives him a lot of range of movement there. I nearly missed out the range of movement in the head. His head can turn quite a lot. It's just on a ball joint that can pop on and off because it's got a swappable head as well. So it can turn around, but these chest pieces can get in the way. So you have to move those around. Unfortunately, he can't look up any higher than this. I've tried. You can look down about that far, can't look up any higher than that. It doesn't seem to be any extra movement back there, which is a shame, because when he's leaning forward and he puts his hands on his thighs, you'd like him to tilt his head back a little bit more, but it's not a big deal. He can come here and he can look like he's bringing the people's elbow down upon someone. Very cool. Actually, saying that, I've managed to push the neck up a little bit more so that you can actually get it up, so that he can lean back a little more. So once he's standing up straight, you can see him there. He's got this really cool chest swivel. Can turn around quite a lot. You can get him into lots of different movements. And then down here you can see there is a bend, but it's very difficult because where all the joints are stiff, sometimes you're trying to move something, another thing moves instead. But you can see he's got a bit of waist turn there, and also bend forward and back. And here he is just in a forward facing sort of crouch pose, touching his knees, leaning forward. Put the lights on, see if that works. Yeah, that looks great, doesn't it? They've managed to get quite a lot of articulation into this figure. Considering he's quite bulky, that's exemplary. And the leg articulation, the legs can come up really far. I mean, it's pretty nuts. Like I said, you can move these leg thigh pieces out so they don't get in the way while you're posing him. If you want to bring them out to the side, you can, and they won't touch. Then you can put them back once you're ready to finish off the pose. There's some great design in these knees pieces here. Look, when you bring it down, this item come up and you can see there's a piston in there, and it flips the knee pad up and down. There is lots of ankle pivot. You can move these foot guards out of the way here, we lift them up, and you can get a lot more movement there. You've got toe articulation there, come all the way back. You can rock this forward and back, you can see, but like I said, you have to know where the joints are and focus on and concentrate on just turning the joint that you want, because if you don't, you could end up knocking something else out, or even worse, breaking something, and you don't want to do that. Okay, I think I've covered the majority of the articulation, but let's take a look at some of the paint application in here. There's some really nice silvers and gunmetals that go all throughout, and there's even some oil patches. There's amazing detail in that torso here with the fan belt and everything, bits of engine. There's even really nice detail on the inside of the thighs here, look. They didn't have to do that. They could have just made another solid piece like this, but they didn't. They went whole hog to give you more detail as they could. There's all these gears and cogs inside the foot here and the leg, and there's the paneling inside there, and all the detail in that foot. Look at that. That's amazing. Because of the size of this figure, I'm really impressed with what they've managed to do here. And they've done a great job with the pieces of yellow fare in here. We'll just zoom in on a little bit, and we can see that the yellow has got this sort of strong dirt wash over the top. And then it's sort of glossed again over the top of that again, which seals it in. And you can see there's extra dirt built up in the corners and the crevices. Now, it's not as detailed as the original prototype, or I think some of the first batch, because some of the first batch were really well done as well. But you can see, wow, look at all that dirt in there. Sort of browns turned into blacks. Quite cool, quite grimy, but still, the yellow is still bright, it's vibrant, it pops. And when you got it on the shelf like that, it's only when you zoom in and have a really close look can you see all those extra details. That's why this is such a great figure, because there is a lot of detail in there that you can miss if you just quickly glance at it. You have to give it a really good looking over, and then you'll see just how much work has gone into this guy. Accessory wise, he comes with an extra head sculpt, which is the sort of battle face mask that he wears. You can see there's like some honeycomb detail in that eye lens there. It's really cool. You can see they've gone through and done all the details around the sides. The silver and the yellows do not bleed off into each other, but they complement each other really well. And then you've got this little button here. It seems to work down the bottom. If you press the bottom here, if you press the top, nothing happens. If you press the bottom, there's a click. And that's when the eyes light up, and that looks awesome. I'm going to put that on in a sec, you're going to see that. And then he comes with two more closed doors. I've put two on his back there that are slightly more open, but then you can have these two more small ones. I think these are for when he's in battle mode, they shrink down so that they don't get in the way. You can see they've actually got a little bit of mixed media there. You can see there's a clear screen there. You can see the door, still dirt all built up in there. And they've even got the inside of the door panel done. Top work. Hands, he comes with two fisted hands. Seriously guys, this is 1/6 quality, honestly. For such a small figure, I'm blown away by it, to be fair. But you can see all the details in the hands. They're nice and easy to swap in and out as well, which you know, some 1/6 scale figures aren't as easy to swap out as these are. You get left and right, and you get two relaxed hands. See, he's got 3 fingers and a thumb. Every single one of them is painted to perfection. They all match. There's no discoloration between the hands and the forearm or anything like that. It's not like 2 separate yellows. And then he comes with this hand cannon, which is part of his battle thing. It's a shame he didn't come with the blade for the other arm that you clearly see him have in the film. But for an accessory, that is amazing. But I honestly can't slag it off. I mean, yeah, of course they sent me a dodgier head, but you know, I'm hoping to get that replaced. Other than that, everything else is just fantastic. You can see this is the arm, and then it turns into a cannon, and you can see these are the fingers and the thumb that go around the cannon. And what you do there is you swap out this arm here and you put it on. And he also comes with this super dynamic stand. It's a very special one that they seem to have made specifically for this release, and it looks like it'll probably come with all the other figures in the DLX range, possibly even the premium range. But you can see it's this really sort of strong, sturdy base with this piston arm here. to help try and support the figure a little more, because it is die cast. A lot of it is, it's quite a heavy stand, and you can see there's a lot of detail in the base, possibly little bits of areas on Cybertron, possibly. I'd like to say that is, but it very much is in fitting with the style of the Transformers itself. It's got 3A Bumblebee logo on there. You can see you can move this up and down to support it to wherever you want, and then click it into place. So it wiggles, you can't move it. And then there's this little bit up here, comes out, and you can position it straight up or to the front, whichever way you're going to put it, and that will fit into the back of Bumblebee here. Once we remove this, let's see if we can wiggle that free. Yep, there we go. And then that goes into the back here. That's not a pose I've done, that's just showing you that he can fit on that stand and he can pose pretty well. Now I've put the cannon and the other head sculpt on him. Let's see what we can do with this guy. We've got him doing a little jump backwards, firing his cannon. Looks awesome. There aren't many poses you couldn't get this guy into that would stop him from looking awesome. And here he is, cannon stretched out, ready to shoot. And as you can see, even though the joints are exposed, there's still a lot of detail underneath. Here's another one. And another one. There aren't many figures out there that you can actually get into a pose like he's sitting down thinking, oh God, did I set the alarm before I left the house this morning? Well, you can with Bumblebee. Oh, this would be a cool pose, wouldn't it, if he had like a Decepticon under his foot there and he was stomping on. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, and just for comparison, here he is next to the Sovereign Knight Batman. And here he is next to a Marvel Legend. Here he is next to a Figma Iron Man Mark 7. Here he is next to the SH Figure Arts Infinity War Hulk, Mafex Spider-Man, and the Figma Predator 2. And there's an extra bonus, here he is next to the 112 Comic Cave Hulkbuster. Guys, if you're on the fence about this, don't be. I know a lot of you out there are definitely only about 1/6 scale, but if you can bring yourself to getting something in a different scale, I think Bumblebee should be it. It's a fantastic figure, great articulation, amazing paint applications, fantastic details. I just can't stop playing with the damn thing. It's amazing. It's definitely a must buy from me. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and if you could do me a favour now, if you can get the fuck out of my cave, I'd appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.